In a few weeks, I leave for Paris to try out living there for 4 months. Setting off on such a venture reminds me that I still have dreams and need to follow them. Sometimes I doubt I will be able to pull off this adventure. At other moments, I'm frightened because I'm going alone and I really won't know until I've been there for a while whether I'll be well enough to enjoy myself. Sometimes I wonder, why am I doing this? What makes me think I can just pick up and go? Since I wrote this passage in my book, I've been to Paris for 3 long stays and am currently planning a 4th trip back.
Even though I now know that I can definitely pull it off despite the challenges of my illness, and that it is well worth doing, and even though it gets a little easier each time, I am surprised by how much work and courage it still takes, and that it's still such a financial sacrifice to make.
My little secret is that my illness has taken away about 80% of the potential that I had when healthy. So a huge challenge certainly remains. If I still want to pursue my dreams, how do I make the most of that 20% of my potential that I have left?
One of the ways I do this is to break the steps required to reach my dreams into tiny little pieces. Let me show you some of the things, the tiny steps, I do when I'm at home in Seattle, preparing for a long stay in Paris with a major illness. Every year I spend months looking for housing that works for my health and budget. Even after 3 years of doing this, housing remains one of my biggest challenges. Paris has a housing shortage to begin with, so each year I live in about 4 different apartments. Then I need an apartment building with an elevator, a place which hasn't had animals living in it, which doesn't have a gas stove, and so forth. These requirements cut out about 90% of the small pool of available rentals. My first year in the City of Lights, I got caught in an internet housing scam. Later, I also ended up in an apartment with bed bugs, which caused me to move 5 times in 4 weeks. On some mornings, I had trouble opening my eyes, which were swollen from bed bug bites. So let's put it this way, housing in Paris has been a challenge. Then each year, I spend months shopping for health supplies and packing 5 suitcases with my health-related gear and clothing. I practically need a flotilla to get me over there. I pack things like a pillow and a foam pad because French beds tend to be harder than American ones and leave me in constant pain. I even take my own sheets and towels because the fragrances and laundry soaps used to clean linens and rentals makes me ill. I also spend months looking for travel health insurance. Many insurance companies turn me down because of my illness, and when I finally find a plan, the next year, often the company doesn't offer that policy anymore. Airports and airplanes also pose a massive chemical exposure risk for me, so it's a challenge to get to France without having my health spin out of control from the very start. I arrange for a wheelchair at both airports, as well as someone to meet my flight, because I'm in such bad shape by the time I arrive that I can barely walk. These are, without a doubt, sacrifices and challenges. Before the trip, I make appointments with my healthcare team in Paris so that they can help me recover from the trip.
Bonjour madame, j'aimerais prendre un rendez-vous avec le médecin, s'il vous plaît.
I also need their help while my body struggles to adjust not only to the 9-hour time difference, but to the changes in air, diet, food, and climate. This is all an enormous stress on my fragile constitution. One may begin to wonder if there's any good that comes out of all of this, considering how difficult the trip is to pull off. I would say that remarkably enough, it is that my illness makes my time in Paris so much more precious. I no longer take anything for granted as I did when I was healthy. I know I can't even assume that I'll be well enough to get on the plane on the date I'm scheduled to depart. No matter what I do when I'm in Paris, just the fact that I'm able to be there at all seems like a miracle, experienced each day.
So in the end, my sickness makes the experience indescribably beautiful, even if it sometimes leaves me feeling as if I live my life by the seat of my pants. Would you like to learn about one of the most important things which helps me pull off my Paris dream while I'm living in the City of Lights? You'll find it in my video, Making My Dreams Come True, What I Discovered from an Egyptian with Rubber Bands and String.